Hey guys, it's Tristan here, and welcome to another episode of Control Breakers. But this is a very special episode as this is the 100th episode of this podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And always, you can catch me on Twitter at Control Breakers if you want to talk about anything that's going on. You know what to do. And my co-host again for this week is Joe, wondering when Kawhi Leonard is going to be back on the roster.
I mean, this is very true. I'm wondering a lot of things this week. I'm wondering how am I able to even play games, but somehow I still am able to do it. Of course, you can find me on Twitter at
Mhm.
Halftime Joe, and I didn't even know this was the 100th show, but
Yeah,
this is gonna be a good one. I say.
yeah, because I had a hard time trying to keep up with the numbering, but it came out even to 100 episodes this week.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah, but you can if you want to be a patron for all our podcasts and videos and what other topics you want us to talk about, you can is it Patreon / comic book cast.
Yes.
Yeah, you can catch us all on there, and for $1, you can be on our Patreon supporters, which would come up on screen at was it 30 frames?
It should be at 30 frames now
Yeah,
because Mitch had told me for like a month it was at 12 frames, but I didn't believe him, and then I actually saw it. I was like, oh wait, it is actually going out at 12 frames. So you
yeah,
used to be able to see this blur and like the names looked weird, but now it shouldn't be there. At least I hope it isn't, but
yeah.
it shouldn't be. Yeah.
Yeah, but you'll be thanked up on screen for or being a Patreon supporter at $1. That's all you need if you just want your name to be shout out on screen.
Yeah. Exactly.
Also, since this is the 100th episode, I decided to go above and beyond because I like doing what I do. And no, this isn't sponsored.
Nope.
This is coming out of my pocket. There's
Yep.
going to be a gift card contest.
Ooh.
And I didn't decide, or I couldn't decide which gift card to get, either, the Xbox Marketplace, a PSN, or Steam, but you'll be able to get a Steam gift card. Now, this is a $20 gift card. I was kind of trying to figure out what the rules to earn the gift card, but I guess I figured out something that should be good enough. Number one, to be entered, you must have a Twitter account and an email.
Yep.
Number two, in order to win the gift card, you must have the correct answer or answers to my questions, depending on if this goes all well and smoothly, there will be more. Number three, you must post your Twitter handle along with the correct answer or answers on YouTube. Number four, I will give it a day at most. Then I'll go through all the comments, and the first one correct, I will contact them on Twitter when they have won, and we'll go from there. Number five, if this all goes smoothly, I may do this every other month or every 2 months.
Something like
Now,
that.
yeah, so Justin told me that we can do this in the beginning. So if you guys are listening, the first question that I'm going to ask is why did Sony create the PlayStation?
Ooh.
Yeah. And number two, it's what game and console did Solid Snake make his first appearance on? Okay.
Ooh.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I'll repeat the questions one more time. The first one is, why did Sony create the PlayStation? The second question is, what game and console did Solid Snake make his first appearance on? Okay,
And real quick, for those of you wondering, I will put a timestamp on this giveaway. That way, if you just need to know, like you need to hear it again, but you don't know exactly when he started saying it, I'll have it for you. You can just click it.
yeah. And yes, you after everything else this goes all smoothly, we'll have more giveaways. I know Armin has a lot of cards or codes, but he couldn't be here right now.
Nope.
But let's get down to the news. And the first topic that I didn't really see that much because I watched one of the other ones is that Star Wars Battlefront 2 had an extra single player story scene
Well,
in
it's not a single player story scene. It's basically just uh, a snippet of what's in the game. So this is just putting it out there as quote unquote marketing, or this is put out there to kind of give a sense to the people of how the story is going to take shape, and especially with the main character, which I think you say her name as Aiden Versio, or all I know is it's being played by Janina Gavenkor. So I remember her from a bunch of TV shows and some games. So it's like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, that's awesome that she's in it. But oh yeah, also Sam Witwer's in here. You know, the guy who played what's his face? Stark Killer.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah,
I think so.
yeah. I think that in those older games. But yeah, was just essentially a 3 minute or 2 minute 30-second video that Star Wars Battlefront 2 put out, and it was a snippet, a little part of the single player story, like one scene, and it just kind of shows a little bit of where it's gonna head up, and maybe of how Eden, or Iden, however you say her name, is gonna be maybe not trusting the Empire as much as she will, because from what we've seen or heard a little bit, it seems like she's gonna be wary, like she doesn't know if she could trust the Empire.
So essentially, it's like her loyalty is going to be tested throughout this whole campaign of
Exactly.
who's actually right and who's actually wrong.
Exactly, and yeah, I mean, it's just it's so this is apparently officially an untold Star Wars story, so this is gonna be in canon with the movies and all that. So if you're into all that with the books, the comics, the movies, just know that this is technically gonna be in canon.
Yeah, it could be interesting because I know EA was touting this was back at E3, saying that they worked closely with Disney about how they're gonna make this quote unquote in canon and be in line with the movies and the books and comics, like you said, to make it an authentic Star Wars story and not just like, like either headcanon or a fanfic that they just so happen to make it fit. But I'm interested, but I was just like more like the only video I saw was the one where they had John Boyega like kind of explain what's going on with the multiplayer side than towards the single player side.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I guess I'm more just excited to play multiplayer than I am the single player story, but I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people who are curious as to how the story in this game is going to play out and in terms of maybe how it goes into the whole universe. So for those of you out there who are interested in all that, just make sure to go check that out. And I think it says right here that, so Battlefront 2 launches November 17th, but the beta begins this Wednesday, October 4th. And it says it's only for those who pre-ordered the game on October 4th, but everyone else can jump in on October 6th, and it lasts until October 9th.
Like, isn't this like is this like pre-ordering the game, or is it like through their EA Early Access?
I see. I would say maybe EA Early Access, because they've been doing that for every one of those EA games like FIFA, NBA, and Madden. But it could technically be just people who pre-ordered it, like GameStop or Best Buy. I feel like it might be that route more. Like, logically, it seems like it's always gone that way. But I don't know. EA has been doing this whole thing with EA Access this year, or even the last couple years, that you get like almost the full game for like a good 10 hours or something like that. It's a little weird thing.
Yeah. And going from Battlefront 2 to Nintendo still being added. Nintendo of Japan is being out of touch with the rest of the world because they announced that they are going to ban creators from their own membership program for live stream video games.
It's so dumb.
Yeah, it's really, really weird because they with the contract that they reconfigured now states that live streaming is out of bounds of YouTube, I guess, guidelines. So my guess is that YouTube doesn't really have much guidelines because what happens on live stream happens. They can't really censor what happens from whatever the live streamer says or does. So what they came up with now is that all their live streams will be probably demonetized on the spot, and you can't monetize them. But if you do want to monetize, your gameplays or LPs and live streams now, you're gonna have to do them manually, because if you have any live streams up now and you're trying to get them monetized, Nintendo will demonetize all videos. Doesn't matter if they're live streamed or they're recorded, sparsely over the weeks. But if you do want to keep live streaming, what you're gonna have to do now is you're gonna have to, I guess, cancel your contract with the Nintendo program, and upload them upload them one by one manually and submit them to Nintendo. Now, the problem with this is that you instead of being like a collective cut between you, Nintendo, and YouTube, you're gonna get an even deeper cut because you're not in contract with Nintendo for content creators. So you're gonna be making even less,
Yeah.
which to people who now just live stream, they can't make you, for better or for worse, they can't make a living off of live streaming anymore because of how Nintendo is tackling this issue. I mean, for me anyway, I can see it both ways. Nintendo can do whatever they want because it's their own IP, and they have their own ways about getting people hyped for their video games or getting more exposure for the video games. They can do that on their own if they so choose to because it's theirs. But I can also see it from the content creator side is that most people know that they go there for the personality more so the game most of the time. Other times it's that the personality loves the game and he wants to get it more exposure because for the game to get exposure, it's not sometimes it's not so much about the story. I mean, when's the last time a Mario game had like a really deep story?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, see, so what's paramount in particular platforming games such as Mario, it's the gameplay. You can't really get a sense of fun or enjoyment by watching someone else play because you want to play it and enjoy that because the game is mostly about, the gameplay.
I see. I thought the same thing, but there's a lot of people who don't want to play a game and just want to watch other people play it.
Yeah, yeah, I know. There's that group, but for the majority, like
Yeah,
for a
you're
Mario
right,
game,
you're right.
people would want to actually play the game.
You're right.
But yeah, that's how it is, and it just goes back to what people were saying. Because even on like the Nintendo Reddit posts, they're
Hmm.
saying like Japan, they're very stuck in their ways, for better or for worse. So
Yeah.
whatever they think that it's right, they will full on go through with it, even if like it's sinking the ship.
It's crazy, man. It's such
Yeah,
a they
yeah, it's
need,
just
I don't know. Yeah.
it's just that it's hard for like what they say is that it's hard for people who are like in the company and like they're like at the bottom tier employee and they get invited to the meetings. They're not allowed to express their opinion on the topic if you're not close to the position that you're trying to challenge their opinion on. So like an entry employee can't challenge their like a manager position outright because they have Japan is set on authority between your position. So you can't really out speak out and do say that something. What happens in the company is that if someone says like they have this big idea, but it's going to tank, you can't just say, "I don't think this will work. Maybe if we do it this way." They would just look at you and probably tell you to leave the meeting. Most oftentimes, it's even if it's really wrong, you're just told to sit there, listen, and nod. That's all. That's it. Which is vastly different from the West, where they allow people to give criticism and input on the collective, I guess, opinion or idea for a development team, and everyone gets to be heard. But in the East, that's not the case. So that's where most of all this Nintendo stuck in its ways comes from, is that um, Nintendo thinks it knows what's good for the company for like exposure and good PR. So they're not necessarily gonna change for anyone unless it's like do or die situation for the company. So for people who are listening, they're getting on Nintendo. It is justifiable, but it is also justifiable for Nintendo to say we know what's better. We don't want any like mess ups with like people who are content creators or personalities like PewDiePie.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah, that's
yeah.
part of the reason too. They don't want people like dropping like derogatory terms on accidents or on purpose with their content being streamed because they don't want their content to be associated with that negativity.
I get it. I mean, also at the same time, it's understandable. At the same time, shouldn't be all surprised because this is Nintendo does
Yeah,
stuff like this.
it's no, it's a surprise because they offered this contract agreement with content creators saying that we will allow you to monetize our content, but we get a cut. But now they're saying that, well, since we can't really, censor you to that point on live streaming, then we can't really agree to the contract. So you'd have to send each, video or stream video to us, and we will get to decide whether or not we will allow you to be monetized. To a live streamer that makes this for a living, this could be a very bad detriment because you could be waiting a week, 2 weeks before they decide that you're okay to go.
That's like my concern of how quick is the turnaround for this. Of you,
It
you do
depends on like how, I guess, how well known the creator is.
no,
Like say like you have like 1,000 subs
but
to 100,000 subs.
I would say it's. I don't know. I would say maybe it's more dependent of how many people Nintendo actually like. How much of a section of Nintendo is actually focused just on this? Like, is there 100 people willing to there in an office taking the not the reports, the kind of what am I thinking? What's the word? The that people
the submissions for
yeah,
videos.
yeah, like is there like 100 or is there like a couple hundred of people taking in the submission, so it doesn't matter if you're like 1 million subs or 1,000 subs.
It's mostly for budget issues and budget concerns. It's mostly automated. So
See, that's
yeah,
another thing. It's just it's all around. If Nintendo wants to do this, fine, but make it so you to turn around is quick. Because then at the same time, you're based like we get you
yeah,
want to do this, but if you made the turnaround quick, which is like let's say 3 days, right?
yeah,
That would
that's
make
like
people happy at least.
yeah. Yeah, with automated, they have like, thousands upon millions of
Yeah.
submissions for the automated systems to go through. And it's whatever the programmer puts into the system that picks up any flags or allows monetization or demonetization. So like you could potentially have nothing wrong with your video or live stream and it gets flagged and it won't be monetized. And you'll go, oh no, oh you'll because you can resubmit it and you can say like I got this and then they'll say, oh, the turnaround's a week to 2 weeks, and you're waiting for another week to 2 weeks, and then finally it gets submitted. So whatever you had on live stream on based on timetables, like if it was a new Mario game, Zelda game, whatever IP that they had, and the turnaround was an extra week to 2 weeks, that's potential views that the streamer is missed out on because most hits for live streamers they get from when something drops day one to the first week, and if they have to wait an extra month or 2 months, depending on the depending on the entertainer and the content creator, they could either lose a lot of money or it wouldn't even be viable anymore because of the automated system not working as it's intended to.
Like I mean I get it as a business they want to
Yeah,
do this,
yeah,
but it's a thing of there's got to be a balance if you want to be a
yeah.
company that is I would say not I mean people hate to love Nintendo because it's like you love Nintendo, but it's like you hate a lot of the stuff they do where they,
Yeah.
the Switches, right? They don't make enough
Mhm.
Switches, but it makes sense why they do it. There needs to be a balance of being able to uh, do what you need to do as a business, but at the same time make the
Mhm.
customer satisfied in a sense. And
Yeah.
the whole automate, like the whole system of you have to submit just in case and all that, it makes sense, but it's the thing of doing it automated where it's not making the consumers or the customers satisfied because the turnaround is just too long. If you
Yeah,
had
that's
a specific
basically like
section
there's no
there,
connection to
yeah.
Nintendo to their customer.
And
So
that's
yeah,
Nintendo nowadays. It just sucks, but that's just it is. They don't have a connection per se to us. It's just they do what
yeah,
they want to do.
it's just that's how people said like Nintendo of America and Europe have more of a connection to their territories than Nintendo of Japan.
Yeah.
That's why most people would probably want the Nintendo of Japan to allow Nintendo of America and Europe and what other territories to have more input, more say on what goes on in their territories, so it doesn't go off as Nintendo of Japan, doesn't care about the territories and whatever they say that goes down in Japan goes down in their other territories because
Yeah.
that they can. Uh, Well, that was a long Nintendo
No,
rant.
I mean it's a very good topic to
Yeah, no, I know. I'm
yeah.
just saying because some people thought you guys are, like, so from whatever videos I usually post, and it's like, yeah, you're hard on Nintendo, and they're not doing this because they hate their customers and content creators. They're just protecting their IPs.
They kind of do hate their content creators. But yeah,
Yeah, but it's really good back and forth
yeah.
trying to explain what's going down and how Nintendo is trying to protect itself and its
Hmm.
IPs from what's going down because they can't control the content creator about what their views are on some topics because sometimes some of the live streams get a little political and other things as such and not and the conversations are not very video game based most of the time. From whenever I watch a content creator, sometimes
Yeah.
it'll range from personal to political to video game stuff and all in between. So that Nintendo's just trying to cover themselves from any backlash that one person may or may not say correctly. But with that, there's more news that happened last week during the weekend that we kind of forgot to record about was that the voice actor strike is over.
Finally.
Yeah, and what surprised me about this is that from the Screen Actors Guild of American Federation of Television and Radio Artists, long
Yeah.
name, they should be shorter, that it was 340 days before the strike ended.
Dang.
And comparatively to all of Hollywood, this is the longest union strike to date.
Dang.
Yeah.
Crazy.
So it's the longest one. What they're on strike for is for the fact that the collective agreement that the union signed with the video game companies was in effect from the early 90s. That's when they first signed the agreement.
Yeah.
And it was very bad because most of the agreement is very outdated and not in favor of the voice acting union for their voice acting talents in a sense where where they where the voice actors originally weren't getting paid enough for the amount of stuff that they do and they wanted a more cut from the development like the development teams and the publishers like EA and Activision and all the other ones and Warner Brothers and Take-Two Interactive and
Yeah.
Insomniac Games and the like. Um, they did get a new agreement signed, but it's a little bit differently because originally voice actors wanted royalties and residuals based on percentage from the total amount of copies sold. The publishers didn't like that because they wouldn't be making as much as they could from the development teams because it takes a lot of money to make the games. So what they did come up with is depending on how many subsequent sessions in the recording booth, they'll get an added $70 added to their check depending on how many subsequent sessions of voice acting that a particular voice actor would do. So let's say they do like 10 extra sessions in the booth at $75, they'll be getting about an extra $2,100 after 10 sessions worked added to their check. And they
Yeah.
also wanted better health care because people may not know voice actors voices they get a lot of abuse because of what they have to do. It's not like people you guys just say a couple lines and you're done. No, it's sometimes it's multiple upon multiple takes to get a certain line correctly, depending on whether they're yelling, screaming, grunting, whatever. Their vocal cords do take a hit, and they wanted a better healthcare because it was healthcare. Suppose it wasn't covered in the original agreement in the early
It's
90s.
crazy.
Yeah, but now they went to they went to wanted to get some of the best doctors that they could that specialized in I think voice care and voice management, and they agreed that the for a voice actor, their voice is a livelihood, And if they can't use their voice to work, then they're out of a job. And what happens if, their voice gets hurt during a recording session? And it does happen. Like I'll take, for example, some of what happens during like anime voice actors. An example would be like I think Chris Sabat, who's a very vocal. He's very vocal about what happens down in when he records. Is that if you check his beginning where he does I think it was like he in the beginning of what he did during I think like in the beginning of Dragon Ball Z, you could see the difference between his voice being very youthful and not sounding coarse by the end by today's standards. Where if he's voicing like Piccolo or Vegeta, you can hear the youthfulness from his voice, but now it's like older, gruffer, coarser. And it's like he's been like his voice has been battered, and that's what some of the voice actors were worried about because some of those roles are very hard to do, especially if they're trying to dub over Japanese dub, because multiple takes from screaming and or hitting it takes a toll on you. I think like even then with like I think the English voice actor for Goku at one point he said like he almost passed out during recording sessions because he was doing a lot of screaming for about 3 or 4 hours.
That just sounds crazy.
Yeah, and it's just real. I guess it's just really good because like for being a voice actor for how much you like portraying your personality to a character. It's really fun, but you don't get paid as much as like an actual actor does.
Yeah.
So like they'll be taking multiple roles and like multiple IPs and such. Like you can give an example for like what was it Nolan North? I don't know about Troy Baker as much, but with Nolan North in the beginning and up until he got like the big leading roles and such, he would take any offer. Like you just tell you just tell his management, go out there. If there's any roles I can fill, I'll do them. He doesn't really matter. A paycheck's a paycheck to him. So yep. if he feels like it's like he could fulfill that role that the development team or publisher needs for that particular character, he's more than willing to work. He doesn't really matter to him. So with this, I kind of like it for that. They had a better agreement than the one that they had in the 90s because it was heavily favored for the development teams and publishers than the voice actors, because there was real concern that for voice acting, for a voice actor who wants to continue to do this, who loves voice acting, who made this his livelihood, their voice is what essentially makes it or breaks it for them. If they can't do it, then their livelihood is gone and they can't really do much else.
It's all about the people, I say, you know? And it's a shock to ever hear when a job doesn't have healthcare in any way or something like that. It's like, really? It's 2017? Come on.
Yeah, and like there was also another I guess a thing that they wanted to be protected against certain things depending on what the job offers voice acting for. Like members are also protected by the disclosure of whether or not they'll be required to use unusual terminology such as profanity or racial slurs, whether they be the content of a sexual or violent nature, or whether the stunts will be required. Yeah. So basically, they want that. They want to make sure that the voice actors are protected. If it's said, like a voice acting job requires the character to be, racist or use derogatory terms, that they won't be fired or put out under the bus from a publisher because we didn't say it. The actor did that on its own. They just want to make sure that the voice actors are protected in any way possible if they can.
Yeah, I get
you.
Whew. Yeah, that was a long monologue by Tristan, I want to say, but you perfectly explained to me because I didn't necessarily know too much about all this, and you really explained to me like more what it was about and stuff like that.
Yeah,
so
it's because a lot of people don't think that voice acting is viable acting when they probably don't express it enough, but they try to do it in a way that they can express it through their voice, and you can understand what that character that they're portraying is and how they feel and like. And it's people who think that, oh, they're in the booth for like what, 30 minutes and they're done. No, it's constant
Yeah.
recordings over and over and over again because the voice coach says, I don't like that line. Can you do it a little differently? Do it again. Can you kind of either, make this shorter or see if you can match the mouth flaps with whatever you're trying to say. It's multiple recordings and it can get really, really tiring depending on what they're
I
doing.
bet. Yeah. So, yeah. I mean, I don't have too much to say about this, to be honest. You had way more to say about this than me. If you want, I don't know if you have anything else you want to mention. Is
Yeah,
this
no,
was a
nothing.
crazy thing to
It's
even,
just really crazy for people who are
yeah.
wondering like why is certain people not voice acting the character that they starred in the role before, or again, just like some of the current ones is because they sign, they're part of the union. They're signed to, like, even if it doesn't affect them, if their co-signees are affected, then they can't work, even if like it has nothing to do with them.
Yeah. So,
So there's that.
yeah.
But you guys can give your opinions down in the comments on whether it was good or not.
Yeah.
Another from this is that it's going back to Nintendo anyway. That Nintendo is closing the Wii Shop channel in, was it
19.
2019
Yep.
for the West, and I think 2018 for Japan.
Y- I don't know about that, but I just know it says
I
like
know,
we
I'm
owners
saying
will be
because
able to use Wii
some sites
points.
say 18 for Japan and
Okay.
19 for the West.
It,
But regardless, it's going down. That means
fine.
if you want to get those WiiWare games that you've been wanting, do it now, because if you wait on it, you're probably not going to be able to do it again. Because I think there were some exclusives. I think like Smash Brothers, the port from the Nintendo 64 to the Wii version, it's exclusive on there. So you may want to buy that before you can't anymore.
Yeah. That's what I would say. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's because I've seen some on Reddit posts where people were like, "Oh man, this is like, it's like how many years since this thing went up and now it's going down." And some people are, "Oh, well, I guess it's time for me to go buy all those digital purchases now because I thought they were still gonna be up for a while." I'm like, no, no, they're going down. So it's
Yeah.
just for people who have been on the fence for those WiiWare games, do it now, because if you put it off for too long up to 2019, you're not going to be able to do it anymore, because that's when the Wii Shop will cease any transactional agreements.
Hmm. Uh,
And
real
oh,
quick
even
though, it just says that Wii owners will be able to add Wii points the shop's currency until March 26, 2018. So that's when you
use it
can
with the points.
add, I guess.
Okay.
But you have until 2019 to use it all and stuff like that. And I guess this has to do with kind of just moving to the Switch and no longer using the Wii name, right? Or am I wrong on that? I don't know. Um, I would just say,
Yeah.
yeah, okay, just making sure because it's just I don't know, it's almost nostalgic even though it's not that it hasn't been that long, I guess, like the whole Wii like music and stuff like that, but it was bound to happen, I guess. It's Nintendo doesn't necessarily know, like Nintendo's
I
stores
mean,
isn't like PlayStation or
well,
Xbox.
it's because unlike then, like for me anyway, from my point of view, is that Nintendo supports their items or systems for as long as they're viable to sustain themselves.
Yeah.
So unlike, Microsoft or PlayStation, which they would say like after the new console is released, that the previous console will be supported for at least, 3, 4, maybe 5 years after the new one, and then after that it will just, spit her off. But for Nintendo, they'll continue to support the system for as long as it can remain viable. And as soon as it's not viable within like maybe like 2 to 3 years, not counting handhelds, then they'll drop it like a rock.
Dang, yeah. You're
Yeah,
right.
because I guess like some of the examples would be like the GameCube, and I think it'd be Game Boy Advance at the time,
Probably.
and probably DS, where they're saying, oh no, we'll still have games for you, 3, 4, 5 years down the line, and then 2 years pass, and it's basically dead.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. One of the last things we have on here is that
Last thing.
Rockstar did come through and did confirm with their Red Dead Redemption 2 full trailer instead of one of those those teaser trailers. I think the last one was like a minute long teaser trailer, but it didn't really show anything, and this one didn't really show that much either. But it did show that people working, having theories on like, is it going to be like the Magnificent Seven, where you have like seven characters you could control and do missions with? But no, so far anyway, it's you take control of the main protagonist. I think it's Arthur Morgan and the Vanderlod gang, and they just showed a lot of what they have in mind for the game. It didn't really show that much about the story as much. They had like they had a kid that he was talking to, and that people were speculating that that's the kid, that's the last protagonist in the first one's kid, and they might have to do something along the lines of that. They also showed a lot of weapons, like a bow weapon. And they actually added extra animals to the wilderness besides like bears and stuff like that. And they showed that there's crocodiles this time, so Rockstar is gonna go above and beyond this time. But
I would hope so.
that's what they're hoping for. But they also stated that they have realistic expectations for Red Dead 2, meaning that it'll sell well. But what people don't understand is that they're not in no way, shape, or form expecting this to sell more than Grand Theft Auto 5. Because people were saying, "Oh, Red Dead Redemption 2 it's gonna sell more than Grand Theft Auto 5," and even Rockstar says no. Only a mainline title for Grand Theft Auto will outsell Grand Theft Auto. All of our other IPs, they're not going to come close to that. But we do have real expectations that it will sell respectively well, because this is a Western title. This isn't like a modern day do whatever you want. This is a Western sandbox game, and it's even if it's Rockstar, it's a really niche audience that would want to play a Western game. That's why some people always have questions whether or not would a Western game now do as well as back in early 2000s or like late 90s.
Oh, that's true. That is a good point to bring up.
Yeah, because even if Red Dead Redemption got all these accolades and stuff, it didn't sell as well as Grand Theft Auto or some of the other games that are around at the time, because one of the main driving forces and attractions to potential customers is that it's a Western game. You have a Western soundtrack. The whole entire plot is kind of like one giant Western movie. And one of the things, just like in games, is you can like put it towards movies. Like, when Western movies were big, when did the bubble burst, and how like this correlates to superhero movies on when their bubble is gonna burst. But it just goes to show that in some video games forms, some people do like these niche games, and hopefully it will do a lot better than what Red Dead Redemption did, and I think is spiritual's like predecessor. I think it was Red Dead Revolver, which is actually a pretty good game.
Look, man, this just looks good.
Yeah, no, it really does. It really does.
I'm excited.
Oh, Mitch is not excited because we were talking. He's like, man, like what?
Wait, he's not excited?
No, he doesn't like Western games. Like
Yeah.
he'll play Grand Theft Auto 5 like almost all the time, but as soon as like Red Dead came on, he's like, meh.
I love me riding a horse. Give me some bows and arrows, and I'm good. I'm good with the Western. I remember. No, I mean, I didn't necessarily think it'd be straight up like this, but look, it looks nice in like the stills they showed of just riding around in the forest on your horse and just looking upon like with trains and stuff like that. It looks good, and
it does. It really does. It shows that, like, if you can, like, if you played a lot of Rockstar games, you can see the progress that they've been making I think every 5 years, where it gets more graphically impressive as the half decades roll by. to where like you can see the evolution from Grand Theft Auto like 3 all the way up to 5, where they would implement stuff from their previous IPs and then put them into their current project. Like I think it was Red Dead Redemption that had the weapon wheel, and they implemented that into Grand Theft Auto 5.
Well, I'm surprised Mitch doesn't like Western, since Westworld was really a Western, and this is kind of like going off that hype. Yeah, like I don't know. He really likes Westworld. I really like Westworld, and like after seeing that, that's for a season. It made me want to like whether play a game of Western or something like that. It made me want to like be more in the world like that. And with Red Dead, this is gonna be amazing because now like. I don't even know how long the game is going to take, but it's going to be a long game.
It's going to be, usually it's going to be a long game, but what people are more interested in is the multiplayer aspect. Like, if it's going to be just like, GTA Online, where,
that'd be awesome.
You have this big, vast Western outlay, and you can be like a sheriff and take down other players, or be an outlaw with your friends and just start robbing banks and carts and trains or whatever have you, and have a wanted system. The more people you kill, the more your bounty goes up and all that.
No, like that sounds cool to me. Like I want GTA 5, but with Red Dead Redemption, because I love GTA 5. I play that all the time, mostly the multiplayer because I play with a bunch of people, and there's usually at least 4 or 5 people on where I'm playing, and the most I think was 16. So I would love to do something like that, but in Red Dead Redemption and like the Wild West, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, it is. And like before we get off this topic, just want to say that originally Red Dead Redemption 2 was scheduled to be released late 2017, which then it got rescheduled again for spring of 2018, and most people are speculating now that it's going to be late spring, which people who are saying April now, spring, late spring for the fiscal year is considered May. So so most people are thinking about it being a May release of 2018.
That makes sense, to be honest. It just excited. I don't think there's much other to say than this is something we've all been waiting for.
Yeah, everyone's been waiting for. They wanted Red Dead 2.
Yeah.
Because, like, funny thing is you say that is that people wanted, like, Red Dead Redemption to be on PC. But the thing about that is that the code is so archaic and so bad that Take-Two and Rockstar said they were never ever going into the code and fixing anything of that game, so it's not going to get ported to PC. And whatever you get backwards compatibility from like Xbox One, that's how you're going to play it. So don't even ask for a PC port because they're not even going to touch the code.
Damn.
Yeah.
Happy.
The code was that bad.
Yeah.
But this is coming towards the end of the show. We still have what we've been playing.
Yep. And this is that time. So
yeah, and for me anyway, I haven't been playing that much. Just going on Destiny, doing my dailies, and then getting off and just doing whatever. But I actually purchased a Genesis over the weekend because for some reason I was trying to. Hopefully, since like I'm like in the process of moving, still almost there. I thought because I remember I still had my original Genesis that I got from my uncle somewhere. I thought since we're moving that it would show up, but it hasn't showed up. So I either probably threw it away or I guess someone sold it at a garage sale. But I got me a new Genesis because I still have some of the games with like the cards and stuff. But yeah, there's that. And still waiting on like the next game that I would potentially want to be playing is Even Within 2 coming out in 2 weeks. Because I love me some horror games, and I love survival horror, especially like with some of the creators of like Resident Evil and such.
Can't believe you basically unearthed a Genesis. Like it's almost that like you just unearthed it, like it's been that long.
Well, yeah, because like the last time I saw it, I think it was when I was about 16, 17. And
Yeah.
because we were just cleaning out the garage at that point, and I picked up like this old box that we had. It was a bunch of this old stuff that hasn't been touched in years, and I'm like dusting it off, and I'm like, "What's this? This black thing?" And I open it up. Ooh, oh snap! It's my old Genesis that's been sitting there for years.
Damn.
And yeah, and I put it. I remember I put it off to the side because I wanted to, clean it up and potentially play it, but then I forgot about it, and then just remembered over the weekend because like I've been looking through like some like random sales and stuff, and I since like most stuff is either really packed away, getting ready to go, went through all the potential stuff that it could be in, but nope. And then that's why I like asking around. It's like probably sold it at a garage sale, or you trashed it or something. And I was like, oh, okay, yeah. But that's what mine is. Other than that, I did complete my copies of Silver and Gold.
Finally, you wait both?
Yeah, because the cards themselves aren't expensive.
Yeah.
It's the boxes that are expensive.
Oh, I thought you said you beat both games.
Oh no,
I was like,
I
whoa, that
bought
was
that.
super
Yeah,
quick.
yeah. Like right now, I'm still on silver. I'm at I think I'm at the Lake of Rage right now. I just caught the Gyarados, but I stopped like at like earlier in the week. I stopped because I had some other stuff to do.
I was about to
Because
say, man.
forever, because no matter how good it is, the EXP gain system still sucks in Gen 2. Really bad. I
Yeah.
have to be like in one area for like 3 hours, leveling up my mons and stuff like that. But yeah, that's what I've been going for. I know people have been like on like was it Discord and on Twitter saying you play PC games stuff like that. I'm like, yeah, but not so much right now. Oh, we can play sometime. I'm like, but I'm in the middle of moving, so I
Yeah.
don't really have time to be playing on PC that much right now.
Let him know,
But
Tristan. Let him know.
yeah, I don't know about you, Joe, because sometimes I see you on PC, other times I don't. So I don't know what you've been playing.
I mean, I'm on. I just play Madden, 2K. I haven't played FIFA yet. Picked it up, but I haven't been able to play. Telling you, I play a lot of sports games. That's kind of my ish. I've always played that my whole life, but more so the last couple of years, I've been more wanting to play it more. So that's just kind of my
That's the
new
thing
age.
for me is that I do want to play them, but I know like the commitment
Yeah, there's a commitment. It's like
yeah,
any big multiplayer game. There's a
yeah.
commitment. So I've
Because like I
committed
don't
to these
like
games.
doing like the like how I could like let's give an example like how like on like Overwatch where I haven't been playing them for a while, but I keep up with the updates and stuff. So just messing around with the characters for like a day or two, and I can get back into things with like 2K or Call of Duty and stuff like that. It could take me a week or so to
Well,
get back to where I used to be.
if you have a lot of money, it doesn't take long because of all the
I
microtransactions in
don't
these
want to spend
games.
a lot of money.
Yeah, because all these microtransactions make it super easy for if you've been gone for a while, you just put up $100, you're pretty much caught up and like a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
It depends because on your create a character stuff, like for 2K in live, you just need to put up about a 50 or more, and you're caught up. But for the my team, which is like or ultimate team, which is like you get a bunch of cards and you have to
Yeah.
do this and that, mix and match. You put up some people put up a thousand just to catch up and stuff like that because they want the super like rare diamond players and stuff like that. And look, if you got it, why not? If you're gonna spend it on something, I figured there's some like a parent out there would rather their kid spend 1,000 on a game as opposed to weed or something. You know what I mean? Or like alcohol if they're not old enough. So,
Yeah.
if you got the money, why not? So, but I'm too cheap for that. So,
Uh,
that's why I commit to playing these games.
yeah, it's like you're too cheap, meaning that you only
Nope.
spend if you actually need to, and it's like the bare minimum.
Yeah, because these microtransactions don't faze me. I'm too cheap for any of that. So you can have like 50% sale or whatever. Nope, you won't be able to catch me on that. You won't catch me slipping because I have a stance of being cheap, and I will stick to it. I am proud, which I don't know if I should be proud of, but I am.
It depends.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean that's kind of it. Just playing the games, committing hard, and losing, getting mad, winning, talking shit. Like pretty much how you know the drill.
The
It's just
usual.
yeah, the usual. So until like trying to think of until like maybe Call of Duty or November, I guess, is like when Call of Duty and
Yeah.
Battlefront come out. That's when, because I haven't even played Destiny 2, so those are when like I'll probably
And
play other games.
yeah, and oddly enough, since you said Call of Duty, for some reason, the price in Call of Duty Ghosts has been shooting up for being one of the worst in the series. People were actually buying it and playing it now,
Digital or physical?
physical and digital.
Well, I mean, I assume it's like, hey, if you can't get this new Call of Duty, you
No,
can buy the old one.
it's more so of like how people would say like this game is shit when it came out, and it's it's not like there's maps are too big, they're not confined, they're not like arcadey as they used to be.
Yeah.
And then when they get the newer Call of Duties, especially like with the world, I think World War II, where they said it's going to be a lot slower and it's not going to be as fast. People are going to go back to some of the older games and see how it compares, and then go, oh, wasn't as bad as everyone said it was.
That's dumb. Why would you go to an older game that's like how old is it, like 3 years, 4 years,
Yeah,
maybe 3 years
yeah,
probably.
yeah, 3 years old for most
So
likely.
that's dumb. Why would you go to an old game like that when nobody's playing it? I mean, maybe one or two people.
That's what happens when a lot of people start playing it. Like the player count grows.
I don't know. I don't necessarily feel that way, especially since there's a new Call of Duty every year. So it's like, I
I mean,
don't know.
people
It's
went
weird.
back to Black Ops 2 and 3 once they, especially 2 when it became backwards compatible, and like the player count shot straight up to like 27 million.
The only reason I'd go back to those is for zombies, but that's just I don't need other people to play with that. I don't need like randoms to play with that. Me and my friends would play it. So it's like that's the only like the only reason I'd go back to games is there's like a mode I can play with my friend. But other than like that, I don't want to play with random people on an old game. It's like, why am I going to an old game? I could just get a new one.
I mean, it's just varies by people. People who like playing, competitively or zombies is how it is.
Yeah, so
Um,
yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it for this week. Or Armin wasn't able to come on, so he still isn't able to talk about Marvel vs. Capcom
yeah,
Infinite, which I
because
want to hear about. But
because I think because it's the first or second day of October, so I've it's just people are getting ready for Halloween. Though
they
I did
are.
I did go to Walmart the other day, and for some reason they already had a Christmas shit
I mean,
posted.
they're trying to get ahead of the game, which is why
No,
nobody's
like
there.
literally, like you'll see like Halloween stuff like for half of the store, and then
That's dumb.
up in the corner, it's get ready for Christmas. I'm like, you guys couldn't even wait till November to do
Nope,
that.
that's dumb.
But this should be the end of the show. Like Joe said, he will put a timestamp for the contest.
Yeah.
So if you really want to enter, just look for the timestamp and follow my instructions that I said, and you'll be entered. And good luck to those who enter, because it's the first person that gets it right wins it.
And have to have a Twitter and an email, right?
Yeah. You have to have a Twitter and an email. I'll go down it again if people are listening one more time.
No,
I'm just putting it in. I'm not gonna like really condense it. It's just
Okay.
you're gonna need a Twitter account and an email. You're going to, when you answer in the comment section, you're gonna have to post your Twitter handle and the correct answers. And then
Okay.
if you get it correct, I will tweet you and we'll go from there.
There you go, guys.
Yeah.
There you go.
So yeah, there's that, and if it goes smoothly, then you guys can expect more contests and stuff to win on this podcast. But
Then it's
for
interesting.
yeah, yep, and I'm just saying, it's just
Yeah.
this is gonna be one. I guess hopefully everyone has a good October.
Yeah.
See ya.